You don't win Le Mans, you outlast it. For the past decade, no team has endured its challenge more than Audi.
The number 2 car looking awfully strong.
Side by side in the inside run. Oh, Christensen.
He's got to come in this lap.
Go.
That could be the deciding moment in this motor race.
Perfect. Now we are talking.
Capello, Christensen, McNish, victorious at Le Salle.
You did it, dude.
The French village of Le Mans first hosted its 24-hour endurance race in 1923. It was an audacious idea in an unlikely place. The race would be a 24-hour trial designed to push man and machine to their limit, sometimes beyond it. Le Mans is where careers are made and legends are born. Win here and become an icon. In 2011, Le Mans will test Audi like never before. Courage, not kilometers, will be a measure of their effort. A new chapter in the race's history is written. New heroes emerge, and every second counts. Every great race requires a great rivalry. For Audi, that adversary is the French automaker, Peugeot.
To race with a Peugeot it's really great because they are really fighters.
You need strong competitors in the race, and if you can win against strong competitors, I think the value of our victory is much, much higher.
But its roots were first laid almost 20 years ago. After back-to-back wins in 1992 and 93, Peugeot did not race a factory team at Le Mans for over a decade. At the turn of the century, Audi burst onto the scene and won 6 out of 7 races, staking their claim to the French circuit. Finally, in 2007, Peugeot defended its home track, and a rivalry was born. Audi entered 2009 confident they would win a 6th straight title. But after years of dominance, Audi was reminded that Le Mans plays no favorites. Peugeot took advantage of Audi's struggles and claimed the top 2 spots on the podium.
Spoke to Ralf Jutner about when do you start thinking about next year. He said tomorrow. It takes 12 months of planning to win this race.
Humbled and with a renewed vigor, the German Mark entered the 2010 race as the underdog. It was the first time in 7 years an Audi car would not bear the number 1 on its flank. But any thoughts of Audi's demise were premature. By race's end, one of Le Mans' great champions was back on top. The number 9 car, driven by Mike Rockenfeller, Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas, finished with a course record 397 laps, and Audi swept the podium. With the victory, they added another chapter to their storied legacy.
Yes, there are manufacturers that achieved more victories in Le Mans, but none did it in such a compressed period of time. The intensity of wins from Audi in these years is on a level that nobody else ever achieved. And we always tried to continue to improve, and we always found a way to improve.
In 2011, improvement came in the form of a new car, the Audi R18 TDI. Regulation changes by the ACO made downsizing their engine necessary.
We had to cut down from a 5.5 litre V10 to a 3.7 V6. Uli Beretsky, our engine guru, he came up with the best overall concept, not just for the engine, but for the whole car.
We make smaller engines, but we make not weaker engines. We just make engines which are more efficient, so they use the fuel better than the others did. But for a driver, they have no lack in performance.
To complement the smaller engine, the design team built a more balanced race car using Audi ultra-lightweight technology.
We needed a highly efficient car from aerodynamics to run fast on the straights and have even enough downforce in the corners. So the R18 is, after many years, the first close car that we have developed for the 24-hour race.
It's nice to sit in terms of the buffeting, means that the head is more or less still. The air goes over you, and in that sense you feel a good sensation inside the car.
It definitely feels better to have a roof protecting your head.
We always try to be on the highest level of safety with our race cars possible. And when we took the decision to make a closed car, we have seen a chance to do a very special, strong monocoque out of one shell and not out of two shells, bonded together like all the others.
The unique one-piece design yielded a stronger yet lighter survival cell, one that will shelter drivers in case of an accident. The Audi engineers made the R18 safe, and if you ask the drivers, even slightly stylish.
To be in that car, you know, when you see pictures sometime and you see, wow, I am the guy who's driving that car, that's cool.
Audi will field 3 nearly identical R18s for the 2011 race. 3 cars means 3 teams of drivers. The race's defending champions will pilot car number 1. Timo Bernhard, Romain Dumas, and Mike Rockenfeller. Before his win in 2010, Rockenfeller's history with the track was, well, rocky.
Devastation for the Audi team. Young Mike Rockenfeller has crashed the R10 heavily.
It took 3 years for Rocky to finally earn redemption.
When you stand on that podium, it's hard to describe. And yeah, I hope I will have it again.
It's a feeling that the drivers of the number 3 car are familiar with. They are practically a Le Mans all-star team. Dindo Capello, Tom Christensen, and Alan McNeish have 13 wins among them. Capello has been with Audi Sport since its first Le Mans. His extensive resume boasts 3 victories. McNeish, lightning quick and relentless, has won the race twice. Christensen has won the race 8 times, earning him the nickname Mr. Le Mans.
7 victories, a record 7 now becomes 8. Tom Christensen extends his record-winning run at Le Mans.
The number 2 car will be piloted by last year's second-place finishers. In only their second year together as an Audi team, Marcel Fassler, Benoit Trillier, and Andre Lotterer are quickly making their mark. Individually, they've won races all over the world, but this is Le Mans, and they have something to prove.
For sure the pressure is there, you know, Le Mans is one of the biggest races in the world, and really don't want to mess it up.
The drivers aren't the only ones in the crucible. An army of engineers and mechanics must be perfect in its own right.
In addition to the drivers, of course, look at the team behind each car. With the 3 car, with McNish, Dindo and Tom, you've got Howden. He has got all of the experience. And, of course, he's won the race before. The 2 other lead engineers, they are not as experienced in terms of leading a team.
I started with Audi in 2007 as an assistant engineer to Howden Haynes. Prior to meeting H, I'd never done anything at this level. I'd done analysis before, but on nothing like this kind of car.
I've treated Lena like an apprentice, you could say. You know, you want to bring people in, I would say bring young people in, but she's actually older than me, but you know, you bring someone up from the beginning and sort of turn them into a race engineer that we feel we need, you know. We felt that she was ready to take on that role of lead engineer of her own car.
The decision to elevate Lina was ultimately made by Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, the head of Audi Sport. Over the last 12 years, Dr. Ulrich has built a Le Mans dynasty. From the outside, he appears a stern figure, but his icy glare hides a deep passion for his racing team.
The general impression that people get is of a very cold, regimented individual. He likes things to be precise. He's motivated to win without question. But on the other side of it is the sort of very much a human side of it. And he's very close with his drivers. He puts the arm round the shoulder when need be and gives the kick up the backside when need be as well.
We are a team that sticks very close together. Each one supports the others. And this is something that was building up through the years. I was pushing always very hard that we live motorsport like a family. And I think that's one of the small things that make it different to the most of the other teams.
I think when you're putting a team together, whether it be a soccer team, racing team, the key is the word team. It's got to fit together. The people have got to fit together. And in an event like Le Mans, you've got 3 drivers in one car. There is a knack there that Dr. Ulrich has. He can see something in the personalities of people more than necessarily the driving characteristics that he thinks, Alan will fit really well with Tom, but those two probably need a Dindo just to balance it all out. And now, over the 3 cars, we've got probably the strongest driving combinations we've ever had. And the 3 cars work together. Not just individually, but they actually work together for the greater good. But we do know that only one car can win. And we always want to be that one car to win.
For any of Audi's 3 cars to win at Le Mans, they will have to best an equal number of Peugeots. The French marque also has a new car, the 908, with a V8 diesel engine. Audi and Peugeot, for the first time in their rivalry, entered the 2011 season on equal footing. But only one of them was ready for the season's first race.
Peugeot tested that car at Sebring over 12 hours. The R18 wasn't ready for that test, and Peugeot came away from that bruised and battered, but I would have thought with a slight Gallic smile on their lips because the car performed so well. The R18's debut at Spa was the first time that we saw real competition.
Having seen what the new 908s could do at Sebring, it's critical that Audi get the R18 on the track under race conditions. Early in the race, though, Alan McNish's eagerness costs him.
With McNish, he's gone round. Oh, he's gone round already. Cold tyres, cold brakes, and now he's going to have to sit there and wait for the whole of the field to shoot past.
The problems multiplied, and the R18's maiden voyage was a disappointing one for the Audi team.
And he's just going to let the Peugeot go past because he's not at full racing speed. Drama then in the Audi camp.
In Spa, we had a car that showed quite some potential from the speed, but we didn't make several things run as they should run. It was just not a perfect weekend for us.
And that's a new rear end going on an Audi.
Spa was not a good race. Everything that could possibly go wrong had gone wrong.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go, and Marcel Fassler's brought the 2 car in. Splash and dash. Audi couldn't have got their calculations wrong, surely. Very, very strange indeed.
Partly down to preparation, partly down to a new car and teething troubles. It was very tough, though, very tough.
The first time we saw Audi and Peugeot go head-to-head, and very much a commanding victory from Peugeot. They've had the pace over Audi throughout the race, and the next time we'll see these cars will be at the famous Le Mans 24-hour race. And that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Peugeot happy, Audi still slightly pensive.
Le Mans isn't just a race, it's a celebration of the sport. And at the Parade of Champions, the drivers are the featured guests. May be hard to believe, but the world's greatest endurance race is actually run, for the most part, on public roads. It's officially called the Circuit de la Sarthe. At 8.5 miles long, there's plenty of everything, including speed. Top speeds down the Mulsanne Straight are well over 200 miles an hour. Contrast that with the 50-mile-an-hour speed through the trickier curves.
When you go in the S Porsche, it's just crazy how quick it is. And the feeling you have in the car with the G's we take in the corners is just amazing. If you take a roller coaster, you know, when you just finish the roller coaster and then you say, okay, I want to do one more time. And here it's during 24 hours.
The race at Spa is cause for concern. The car showed promise, but promise alone won't win at Le Mans. And a battle with Peugeot looms.
In a racing environment, you really don't know how you match up to your competition until, let's say, the first qualifying session. That is where it kind of, the truth comes home, you know?
The truth is, the R18s were specifically engineered to endure 24 hours on this track. In the past, Audi hasn't been able to match Peugeot's outright speed during qualifying. It's an advantage they can't afford to concede. This year, more than ever, every second will be crucial. But misfortune strikes early when Romain Dumas comes upon an Aston Martin that has spun out at Arnage Corner. An accident in qualifying is not unusual for Le Mans. Every driver wants to be the fastest. But a second shunt for Audi, this time with Tom Christensen behind the wheel, proves worrisome. Mixed with the disappointment of damaging two cars is the success of the number 2 car. For the first time in years, Audi is quicker than Peugeot in qualifying, and Benoit Trillier earns pole position.
Right, boys, I need to quickly talk to you. It was not intentional. I mean, a pole at Le Mans is brilliant, but it's not going to win you the race. But I still didn't know we had pole position until I noticed all the photographers with our drivers, and I thought, there's something going on here.
All the journalists were there, like pole position, we're like, wow. But it didn't feel like, okay, you know, we were gunning for it, and our main focus was for the big one, for the race.
Race day at Le Mans is like nothing else in motorsport. The field is a robust 56 cars. But there are only 2 teams, giants really, who can realistically eye the trophy.
So we come to Le Mans with a feeling that maybe Peugeot have an advantage. No, Peugeot do have an advantage. They've raced the car more. And we've seen in the past, when Audi haven't been out there racing, sometimes their performance at Le Mans has suffered.
I think last year we won because we made perfect race, no mistake, and that was for 24 hours. If it works the same way for 23 hours and 50 minutes, it's not enough, that's it.
I think the most intense moment of the 24 hours of Le Mans for everyone around, for the fans, for the drivers, for the team, is the start.
Timo Bernhard will stop behind the wheel of the number 1 car, which is going for back-to-back victories. The always fast Alan McNish will take the green flag in the number 3 car. And the man who put his car on pole, Ben Trillier, will start in front in the number 2 Audi.
I'd never started before in Le Mans. It's a long race, you have to be quiet in the car, and you know you're gonna start for 24 hours and everybody want to lead at the beginning. So yeah, it was a bit of stress.
The pressure's building up each day more and more and more until Saturday the flag drops and then we go racing. So it's a great feeling.
Keep the engine revs up. Currently temperature is 50 degrees. Need to warm the engine up.
Okay, crew, just do a last equipment check. Make sure everything's ready. Alan, mix 1, or higher if you need it for the tyre.
There's a reason why I nearly always start Alan in the car for the beginning of a race. You know, he's like a Scottish terrier biting at the ankles of, you know, the French. He kind of sets the tone for the rest of the race for not only us, but also to our opposition. And we know that they get rattled by Alan being in the car at that beginning.
Prepare for start. Remember, no overtaking until you cross the line.
I really don't know if Peugeot don't like it, whether I start or not. If they don't like it, it's their problem.
This is a great formation start. Big blast of Peugeot diesel smoke from row number 3, and McNish gets a great start. It's Audi, Peugeot, Audi. McNish has already dealt with one of the French cars, and he's on the inside. He's going to lose that position.
As you can see, there are cars already being lapped.
This is only now the 5th lap of the race, and you've got this absolutely superb battle between Franck Montagny and Alan McNish. They go past the Ferris wheel, they come into the Ford chicane, up over the timing line. Alan McNish looks quicker as he comes out of the chicane, but he's blocked by Franck Montagny as they come across the line. But McNish tries to squeeze up on the inside. Fantastic stuff, this.
And I'm not sure that the clerk of the course might not want to have a word with Montagny about that. That's quite an ambitious block there. Montagny is a very brave young Frenchman in order to be dealing with McNish like that. Last year, the winning Audi went further than anybody else has ever been before at Le Mans, and this looks as though McNish might do it this time. He's in the correct position as he comes up. Now, can Montagny again outbrake him or not? No, he's going to let him go. Now, will McNish be able to get away? That's now Audi. 1, 2, 3.
It's a brilliant start for Bernhard and Trillier. They are running 1-2 with the Scott McNish closing fast. Bloodlines are showing. Audi and Peugeot are the class of the field.
This is a 24-hour sprint. These are new cars. We haven't seen them here before. This shows a massive degree of confidence from both of these teams, because they really can't afford to have any slip-ups, and they're driving so aggressively, all of them.
So much for an endurance race. Neither the Audis nor the Peugeots are pacing themselves. New designs or no, they're flying through traffic, looking for an edge.
Something happened, I didn't see, but if anything happened on the track, I think there is one of our cars will crash.
I was watching the data itself, and I saw that the car wasn't taking the trajectory that it should have done. And I looked up at that point in time and saw the crash actually happening. I think at that point it was doing its rollover over the tyre wall.
Oh, that is a monster accident. That is a big, big accident. And who on earth was that? It was one of the Audis. It's McNish. Alan McNish off in a big way, launched up the inside, and that is a very, very big accident indeed.
At that split second, you don't put what you're seeing on the TV into what's actually happened, and it takes some seconds for everything to piece together.
We saw the car travel at high speed into the barrier, and I knew immediately it was our car.
I looked across at Howden, who was on my left-hand side on the pit wall, and I could see that he hadn't had a response from Alan at that particular point.
Are you okay? Alan, are you okay?
Is the driver okay? That's the first thing that kind of goes through your mind.
Alan, can you hear me?
He didn't reply on the radio, and I got a bit anxious.
Alan McNish went up the inside, the safety car has been deployed. At that sort of speed and at that sort of corner, that is a very big accident indeed.
And for what seemed like an eternity, there was no movement. But then you saw that Alan was actually moving inside the car, and they started to get him out.
I released the belts a little bit, had a look outside, and I could see that there was nothing left of the car. There was just basically bits thrown everywhere. The survival cell, the monocoque, was all what I was sitting in. At which point I knew the race was over. I knew that everything we had done, I'd just taken the lead of the race, was gone. There's 23 hours to go, and it was gone.
Once all that kind of emotion is out of the way, then it's just downhill from there on. You know, then you've got, shit, that's it. Our race is completely over before it's, you know, even begun.
And that is the end of Tom Christensen, Dindo Capello and Alan McNish's 2011 Le Mans. I'm sure they will stay at the circuit in the Audi family spirit in order to support the cars number 1 and 2, who are now still lying first and second.
You have to get used to it, you know, that's kind of racing, and then you've got to snap out of that and, right, where can I focus my attention now? My car is out of the race. Now it's about, you know, the group. It's about Audi and the 2 remaining cars. Lena and Kyle, both of them, it was their first Le Mans as lead race engineers. They have to learn how to cope with the emotion, how to cope with the rough and tumble of the race itself. So I kind of made it known to both of them that I was here if they needed me.
Lena would lean on her mentor throughout the 2011 race. But at the moment, her focus is on her driver.
I knew Ben's first question would be, is he okay? I replied back and I said, okay, we'll check on him, because it was quite important at that stage to ease his sort of fears of what happened to the sister car.
Ben, Alan is fine. Fine.
Okay, thanks for the information.
After more than an hour under yellow, the race resumes with the Audis 1-2 and increasing their lead by the lap. But the race won't be won solely on the track. Pit stops will be a pivotal component of the 2011 24 Hours of Le Mans.
No, this is a fuel-only stop. Fuel-only stop. You stay in the car.
Audi's strategy is to run 11 laps per tank before refueling. A single stint. Peugeot will stretch their fuel over 12 laps. By race's end, this could save the Peugeots at least 3 pit stops and upwards of 2 minutes. Audi will counter the Lions' more conservative strategy by driving the R18s all out, in hopes that their outright speed will overcome the extra time spent in the box.
Timo, the plan is for you to do 4 stints. 4 stints.
We tried to minimize the time in the pits. We did this with doing 4 stints on one tire.
Peugeot, on the other hand, will only do 3 stints before changing drivers and tires. Audi may be pitting more often, but they will make the longer full service stops less often. Whether Audi's strategy is better than their rivals remains to be seen. At the moment, however, a more pressing question has arisen.
What's happening with the Audis? Timo went across the line 4 seconds ahead, and there's Ben Trelliway just dragged past him. So has Timo had a little incident there, or has he got a problem? Because he's lost 4 seconds.
Let's car's pulling a little bit to the left. Kyle, the nose has popped out on the left-hand side.
There's a report that there's some damage at the front of the Audi, but he's being caught hand over fist. He's about to lose second place as well, so there's something not right, clearly, for the number 1 Audi here.
The unscheduled pit stop drops the number 1 Audi all the way down to 5th place.
Now, Timo Bernhard has just given over the car to Romain Dumas. Paul, that was a short run for that car, presumably because of that damage was making it difficult for Timo to drive it.
It was a stop that they can ill afford with it all being so close at the top.
With the car sorted out, Romain Dumas goes on a 2-hour binge of speed. Dumas has moved up 2 positions and is closing in on the number 7 Peugeot, when he is quickly reminded how fickle this racetrack can be.
Oh, and the number 1 car is off the circuit.
Contact.
He has gone around. Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich resolutely kind of shakes his head. Doesn't look like there's any damage.
No contact.
I've had a not quite so happy feeling about that car.
A crash in qualifying, contact with a back marker, and now a spin. Another victory might not be in the cards for the defending champs. As the sun begins its descent towards the horizon, André Lotterer is attacking the circuit without pause.
I'm enjoying watching André Lotterer going well. I mean, he's really charging hard.
With Lotterer lapping well, Dumas comes in for a full service change. It's the number 1 car's 7th stop, one more than Peugeot, who pitted all 3 of their 908s 10 minutes earlier.
That's another 11 laps done, 1 less than Peugeot is doing currently. And there's going to be a driver change as well, look there, because Mike Rockenfeller is going to be the next man aboard.
It's all action down there at Audi. They're a very efficient team, just hard at work, nothing dramatic or different.
Equipped with fresh tyres, Mike Rockenfeller focuses on tracking down the race leader. In the gloaming, Lotterer has stretched the number 2 Audi's advantage to over 1 minute.
Where's the pace?
Andre, pace is very good. Pace, very good.
You've got Lotterer lapping in the 333s, Mike Rockenfeller's Audi in the 332s, but find a Peugeot and it's doing well to be 334 or 335, so they're losing round about 2 or 3 seconds a lap to cars they're chasing anyway.
With 2 Peugeots in his rear view, Rocky has the number 1 Audi in position to overtake the number 7 Peugeot for 2nd place. At Le Mans, the night takes on a life of its own. Many of the race's deciding moments have played out under the cover of darkness.
It's really a strange feeling driving at night at Le Mans. It's really dark. You have these long, long straights where you think at that time you are alone on the track.
It's just you, the car, the lap time, and that little bit of vision, and you're really in a different world somehow, because you don't see anything else. And in the day you see the crowds and everything, and there you're just in that little world.
I really love to drive at night. Once you get in, you know, you are alone in the car, you do your 3-4 hours, you are so awake, you have so much adrenaline. It's such a great feeling just to go that fast at night. And that's something which is special in Le Mans. You know, you work 1 year to prepare the car, to get everything ready, and then you are in the car alone. You have to do your job. It's my responsibility in that moment, and all the people rely on me. You have it in your hands. it's unbelievable the pressure you have. And if you make a mistake, you know, I mean, we are all human beings. It can happen in Le Mans. But the influence in Le Mans is much bigger. Small details can go wrong and the race is over.
Mike Rockenfeller looks every bit the champion. He's found rhythm and with it, pace. Lap times are falling.
I quickly adapted myself to the conditions, to the car. You know, we were fighting back, was able to catch up.
Now, what's also just happened at the head of the field is something that we haven't had since the second hour of the race. And that is an Audi 1-2, because Mike Rockenfeller has got himself past the troubled Peugeot of Marc Genet.
How big is the gap to the leader? The leader, 65 seconds. 65. Copy.
And then I was on this straight after Mulsanne corner. I'm going to Indianapolis. I flashed a few times the headlights. I thought, okay, he saw me.
Rocky, do you copy me? Rocky, do you copy?
We tried to get in contact via radio with Rocky immediately, but there was no reply. And if there is no reply, normally this is not a good sign.
In the darkness hours, we get pictures of what looks like a model kit spread across the track. We can't identify the car. There's not enough left of it.
Andre was driving at the time, and he wasn't that far behind Rocky.
Andre, the incident is on the way into Indy. Debris on both sides of the track, so be very careful, be very careful.
I come up and I thought, wow, that's could be a big one, because I know we're traveling there at 330 kilometers per hour, and then I get closer to the scene and I see all these parts around, and I was like, wow, this was bad. And I was like, where's the car? And I couldn't see where the car was.
Holy, what was that? The car looks completely finished.
Copy that, Andre. We've seen it.
Who is it? Let me know as soon as you know, because I got a bad feeling.
Andre, it's Rocky.
It's never good when a hush falls over a racetrack. And again, for the second time today, unfortunately, we have a hush. There are stunned faces in the Audi pit. This is a massive, massive accident. You can't even really tell that that used to be a race car.
After Alan's crash, you know, you saw, okay, we're doing a dangerous race here. As soon as you go off the track with the speeds we're going, it's a big one, and there it was even a bigger one. You know, it's one of the highest speeds area of the track. I thought, wow, will I be the next one?
Everything was pitch black in the car, so I didn't know where I was on the track. I wasn't sure if I'm on the track still, if another car is coming, and then I don't remember so much anymore. I jumped out of the car myself, I don't remember it, and yeah, I had a headache.
The good news, Rocky went out of the car on his own. He's behind the barrier. He's a little bit dizzy, but they bring him to the medical center.
Andre, Rocky is fine. Rocky is fine.
Hallelujah.
This is what they're designed to do in the event of an accident. They are designed to send bodywork, said gearbox, said wheels and suspension and so on. But all of that disperses the inherent kinetic energy.
No one appreciates that more than Alan McNish. The Scot is back at the track after extensive medical checks.
You can Rest assured that the guys back in Ingolstadt that have done the design of the construction of this new one-piece monocoque, they did it for performance, but they also did it for safety. And they go beyond the regulations with the tests that they do to ensure the safety of the driver. And right now, I want to give them all a very big hug.
A grim reality descends on Audi. They now have but a single car to fend off the mighty trio of Peugeots.
Instead of having 3 legs to your tripod, you'd gone down to 2, and then suddenly you were on a single leg.
The Audis are being driven on the limit because they have to be to stay in contention.
That puts a heck of a lot of stress and strain, not just on the driving crew not to make a mistake, or the mechanics not to make a mistake, but also the guys, the engineers, the strategy, everything else. It had to be right because there was no fallback solution.
I don't know that I felt the pressure as much on the pit wall, but back in the garage, I think that intensified quite dramatically because now it was one Audi against effectively 3 Peugeots, and they were still very strong and still fighting very hard.
All the people from all the 3 cars said, we now stand together, we concentrate on this one car, we have a common goal now to bring this car to the end and make a win out of it.
The whole team pulled together because you know at this point it's all or nothing. We had to stay ahead.
Okay, Ben, to confirm, the safety car is in this lap. No passing anyone until you cross start finish.
Copy that.
After over 2 hours of the safety car, after Mike Rockenfeller's massive accident, we're back to green racing.
The number 2 Audi is alone, but at least it's alone out in front. There are still nearly 14 hours of racing ahead, and holding off the Lion will be exhausting work. Simon Pagenaud is closing fast in the number 9 Peugeot.
Simon Pagenaud on that last lap of 3:27.820 shows you just how hard he is trying.
The number 2 car needs to pit. It's Audi's 15th stop of the race against only 13 for the Peugeots. And this stop will be full service. Tires, driver, and fuel. It'll take about 100 seconds. If it doesn't go perfectly, Audi will lose the lead.
Box this lap, full service. Crew, he is 1 minute to the box. Coming into the pit lane.
Pit stop is fast, but not fast enough.
A minute and 44-second pit stop, so it looks like Simon Pagenaud has taken the lead.
Marcel Fassler is now steering the number 2 Audi. He has a lot of work to do. It's hour 13, and the top 3 cars are separated by less than a minute.
Simon Pagenaud at the wheel of number 9 has a lead of just 20 seconds over the number 2 Audi.
For the lone remaining Audi, conquering the French giant won't be easy. In fact, the effort will be superhuman. Good thing Red Sonja is around.
Red Sonja is our little girl, racing girl. To give a name to your racing car, it's helped you to be kind with her.
Lean, powerful, sexy. The number 2 Audi came by the name Red Sonja naturally.
She's this comic girl, like comic fighter girl. They showed me a picture, I was like, wow.
The team mechanics might have coined her moniker, but it's her drivers that have gained Red Sonja's devotion.
She always give you more and more. You ask for more, she gives you more.
You know, we make jokes about it, but it's not like a woman. I think it's a pretty... You can compare it, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a piece of carbon with a big engine in there.
Marcel
Marcel Fassler, he's margin behind Simon Pagenaud now, 9.917 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see if Fassler can close, because that'd be huge if he could put the pressure on Pagenaud.
He needs to do that to send a message to everybody that he can run them down.
Easier said than done. Making up time in the darkness is a daunting mission.
Looks like Pagenaud has pulled out another 4 seconds on Fassler. That's not good news for Audi.
It was not the easiest stint for Marcel, because it was not easy to get the grip. You had to push really hard on the tires, but you didn't have that much grip because it was a little bit too cold.
It was a bit edgy, a bit tricky to drive. You try to go as fast as possible, but you have to take a little bit more care about the limit.
As daybreak approaches, Fassler's task is simple. Keep the number 2 Audi within striking distance of the leader. Fortunately for Audi, a slowly rising sun brings warmer temperatures. Fassler's grip is improving, but with the dawn comes a new challenge.
We had a few issues with visibility, just because of sunrise and also because of the amount of dead flies on the windscreen.
How is it, Marcel?
We lose too much time. I can't see nothing. I can't see nothing.
Under 10 hours remain, and it's time for the race leader to pit, leaving the number 2 Audi alone with the number 7 Peugeot.
Anthony Davidson has Marcel Fassler in his sights.
Blind and under attack, Fassler displays the fight of a champion.
Leaders going through, separated by less than a second now.
Absolutely unbelievable.
The Peugeot behind is the position.
Yeah.
Anthony Davidson pulling right up underneath the tailpipe. He comes to the right. He's got the inside position. They make the sweeper towards Indianapolis, and Davidson takes the spot going into Indianapolis. What an outstanding. And now Fassler drives him back. Fassler comes through Indianapolis, pulls alongside, and Davidson slams the door as they head down into Arnage. He has got his hands full of Marcel Fassler. You can't slip a piece of paper between these two guys at this point. This is absolutely fantastic. Davidson goes off the track. Davidson slides wide in the first chicane, and Fassler retakes the lead. So in 2 laps, we've had 2 lead changes here. This is a classic that we had hoped it would be.
Fassler's unheralded tenure in the number 2 car finally comes to an end as he safely guides Red Sonja back to the pits. Audi has the race lead and happy hour is about to begin.
Happy hour is when everything goes really fast. It's in the morning, just when the sun comes up. It's still cool. The track has been improved through all the cars going by, more rubber on it. That's when you can do just the fastest laps.
So you don't get so much traffic, good condition for engine, good condition for tires. The happy hour is the best moment to do the quickest lap on the track.
Andre Lotterer is flat out. He just set the fastest lap of the race.
Ka-ching! Yes, indeed. We've got another new fastest lap.
Happy hour, of course, is fast for everyone, but fastest of all is Andre Lotterer.
And that's the fastest lap of the race. It's a 3:25.289.
That is extremely impressive lap by young Lotterer.
Lap in his life. Oh, lap of his life, yeah, fucking hell.
Well, well, well. There's life at Audi in a very big way indeed.
However, after 2 stints, Audi deviates from its strategy and changes drivers. Lotterer will yield to Benoit Trullier. That is, if he can wake up in time.
They woke me up very quick after I started to sleep, and they just let me know, maybe you have to jump in the car because maybe you're going to start for 5 stints. I was thinking, wow, I hope that maybe will be maybe not, because when you just wake up, you don't have time to brush your tooth or take a shower. I just imagine in 10 minutes you have to be ready and jump in the car.
Can you tell me what time this is?
Ben, it's 8:02 in the morning. You are in the same queue as the number 9 Peugeot. He should be just ahead of you.
They say, okay, you are in fight with these two cars. The one in front of you is leading, the one behind you is third, and you are second. I say, okay, great, thank you guys.
And right on Benoit Trellier's tail now is Stefan Sarrazin in the number 8 car, actually 4th overall.
When he overtook me, I was thinking, okay, you really have to wake up as quick as possible and do your job.
Then the number 8 car was not for position. He was a lap down.
One advantage of Peugeot's 3-car attack is now apparent. Despite being no real threat to the race leader, the number 8 car is impeding the Audi's pursuit of first position.
Audi has all the cards stacked against them because Peugeot just have the numbers.
I just wonder if Peugeot thought, hello, we've hit something here. Can we rattle these guys? Can we get them to change? Can we get them to drive maybe more conservatively? It's the only car left. It's the lone, vulnerable Audi.
It was tough to turn around and see that there were 2 shutters down and that ours was the only one open. But at the same time, in my mind, it was just about getting our car across the finishing line and winning the race.
The race is starting to slip away. The number 8 Peugeot is still running interference, and now the number 7 car is in Audi's rear view. The moment of truth has arrived, and Benoit Trellier meets it with an audacious maneuver.
This was awesome. To pull this in such a race, that was one of the best racing moves I ever seen. I mean, this was, wow.
I knew that was risky, but it's just a part of the job. Our job is risky, so.
He pulled that one off and I was like...
Trellier is awake and preternaturally fast. He's stalking the race leader, and within 2 laps, he's got the number 9 Peugeot in his sights.
Did I try to overtake or not? Yes, attack.
Benoit Trellier has pulled off an absolutely awesome manoeuvre around the outside of Simon Pagenaud there. The Audi is back out in front.
Before Trellier joined the Audi family, he drove a Peugeot for Pescarolo Sport. At Le Mans in 2009, he shared a car with Simon Pagenaud. That race ended abruptly when Trellier suffered an early morning shunt. 2 years later, the Frenchman is engaged in an epic battle with his former teammate. As the number 9 car battles Red Sonja at the front of the pack, attrition is taking its toll on the remaining Peugeots.
And there has been a big incident for the number 7 car.
Ben, car 7 has gone off at Indy.
Copy that.
Ben, car 7 is moving slowly in front of you. Lots of debris, lots of debris.
Copy that.
Peugeot's numbers advantage is literally disintegrating.
Well, it was a 6-horse race at the beginning, and then it went down to 4. All of a sudden, it's going to be a dogfight, isn't it?
Trellier is flying around the circuit and stretches his once small lead to almost 1 minute. He's driving flat out, which has been the strategy from the start. But it's a strategy that comes with a price. More pit stops than Peugeot. Something will need to be done to reclaim those lost seconds.
We had to maximise our time on the track. It became apparent very quickly that we actually could do more stints on the tyre. and that actually that would save us time.
Audi decides to run a rare 5th stint on the same set of tyres. This will allow them to do one less full service stop over the race's final 5 hours, saving them about 40 seconds. Make no mistake, it's a risky strategy.
Everyone going into Le Mans knows you want to stretch the tires for as many fuel tanks as possible. There is a high risk because when the tire, let's say, go over the edge or when it drops, you can lose a lot of time if you have to come in too early.
Not changing tires means not changing drivers. Trillier and one other driver will have to stay in the car for almost 4 hours each. A very tall order.
The number 2 car is on pit road. It looks like he's going to stay in it. This car has been absolutely had its neck wrung out there, but it's only taking on fuel. He's not going to take tyres. And he's out.
That's a quintuple, or whatever the 5 times. 5
quintuple.
They must be very confident about tyre wear.
I think the tyre strategy was a massive turning point. It was awesome. It was awesome. Nobody had done it throughout the race. Nobody would do it throughout the rest of the race. It clearly really rattled the guys at the other end of the pit lane.
Instead of emerging from his pit stop over 30 seconds behind the number 9 Peugeot in 2nd position, Trillier is in his rearview mirrors. If all goes according to plan, the race leader will have to make a pit stop of his own soon, allowing the number 2 Audi to take the lead, assuming its tires cooperate.
Whoa, my heavens.
Trillier's tyres are getting very tired.
Very tired indeed, as he got very squirrely coming back on the racetrack. That was a moment.
The number 9 car comes in for fuel and Trillier slides into 1st position. Despite having done 2 less pit stops, Peugeot is still behind. So far, Audi's fuel strategy is proving superior. While Trillier stretches his lead on the track, André Lotterer prepares for Audi's final driver change. The smooth German will take the number 2 car home.
Is Andre ready in the pit?
He's here.
The Frenchman's quintuple stint is epic. And more importantly, he's given the team a lead of over 1 minute.
5 stints on those tyres. Those tyres will be well worn. André Lotterer will be the driver who takes the wheel of that car.
I knew we were doing well, and I was really pumped up. You know, I was doing his fast lap times in the morning. I felt great about the car, and Ben comes out of the car and giving a little tap on the shoulders. Don't worry, man, I got this.
When you think, oh, I'm gonna be 3.5 hours in the car, you're thinking about normal car. In normal condition, driving on the highway and boring in a car. But in a racing car, in Le Mans, you're not boring, you know, it's just you keep pushing, and when your stint is finished, you say, wow, it's already finished.
Just woke up, jump in the car, and being in a sandwich in between the Peugeots fighting like that was the hardest wake-up call I've never got. But the car is good, really.
André Lotterer doesn't need a wake-up call. He's fast from the word go. The Audi's relentless speed soon brings it upon an old nemesis.
Oh, good. Another Peugeot for the number 2 Audi to deal with.
Yes, another
Excellent.
one.
It's the number 8 Peugeot, the car Trillier tamed by passing it on the tarmac 3 hours earlier.
Oh, and he gets cut off by the number 8 Peugeot. Lotterer was pretty much alongside as they went into the underneath the Dunlap bridge, and just absolutely got his nose chopped off by Frank Montagny, and then Montagny a little swerve as they were going through this Forest S's to try and keep Lotterer behind him.
When a car is many laps down and not battling for the lead, or not even battling to stay on the lead lap, I think that was overly boisterous.
Lotterer pulls around on the outside. He's not going to be able to do it here.
Andre, that Peugeot is 2 laps down. He is 2 laps down.
He falls in behind Montigny as they go into the second chicane, right up on his underneath him again as Montigny slowed down in the middle of the corner. Just absolutely, this is unconscionable.
There was a lot of what can only be described as car banter between them.
This is being a little cheeky here at this point, Chuck.
Cheeky? Cheeky? That's dangerous. Any other race, I would have probably just gone crazy over the radio, but I didn't say anything and I just was waiting for my best opportunity to pass.
Dives down the inside and takes over the spot and puts Montigny a lap down.
In Mulsanne, in the last moment, I just dive in and took a big risk, and you feel it's not necessary to take those big risks with a lapped car, but you know, at the same time, clock was ticking and had to do it.
Wolfgang Ulrich gives it the yeah.
Emotion from Dr. Ulrich, we don't often see really graphic illustrations of it. Just that little... And you could see how everybody in the pit fed off that.
Andre Lotterer with 3 hours and 6 minutes remaining. Gets by one obstacle and now must go in search of the next.
No need to search. Trouble comes to the race leader from the skies.
Oh, and it looks like it might be raining a bit harder out on the far side of the circuit.
With under 3 hours to go, an inconsequential drizzle becomes a menacing rain.
This is the rain that we have been expecting, and it has arrived.
Once again, Peugeot benefits from having 3 cars still in the race.
When one car is really leading and the 2 others are just behind, they are not fighting for the win, you can send another one other car and look how is the intermediate tires. Then, in that situation, you can help the leading car.
Sure enough, Peugeot uses its number 8 car as a guinea pig by shoeing it with grooved intermediate tires.
Spots of red on the track now, and Peugeot are rolling the dice, putting a set of inters.
The track surface is actually just beginning to show signs of dampness, and what that is effectively doing is cooling the slick tyres.
Yeah.
So you're effectively running on cold tyres.
To put on wet tyres or not, that's Audi's dilemma. But it's one they've faced before.
When we had the rain, that made a huge difference having Howden there, because he's obviously been in the situation, for example, 2008, where he made that critical decision with the tyres.
This could be a pivotal point in the race. Who makes the right choice regarding tyres?
Remember, the inters were very, very good in the dry.
It ain't going to be dry for long. Huh? It isn't going to be dry for long. Box this lap, Tom. Box this lap for intermediates.
It's dry everywhere except at you. Everywhere else is completely dry.
Tom, it's not. It's pissing it down here.
That could be the deciding moment in this motor race. Either way.
These guys are perfect. Half the track is wet. Thank you very much. Now we are talking.
3 years later, it's Lena's car and Lena's call. Calculating the rain will be short-lived, she sticks with the slicks. Now it's up to her driver to ride out the storm.
With those sports cars, it's really tough to feel the grip when the track is a bit wet with slicks, and you don't see if the track is wet or dry. That was probably the most difficult race of my life.
What's the track like?
Very tricky, very tricky.
The number 2 Audi's once comfortable lead is beginning to erode. Simone Pagenaud is now less than 30 seconds behind, and his sister car, the number 7 Peugeot, is about to unlap itself. This is a critical moment in the race. Lotterer must remain cautious. Under these wet conditions, discretion is the better part of valor. Teams work for years to design a car that can handle the grueling toll 24 hours of racing can take. But no matter how much they prepare, the race can still end in an instant.
Just one little silly moment, and all 22 hours can be blown.
Lotterer's prudence eventually pays off. The rain relents and the German gets his edge back.
It started to dry again, and I knew that when it was dry, we were a bit faster, so I was just pushing every lap as much as possible.
Andre, stay on full throttle. Stay on full throttle.
Furiously working to stay ahead of the number 9 Peugeot, the race-leading Audi comes upon Pagenaud's slower teammate.
Andre Lotterer has his windscreen full of the back of Peugeot number 7. And Marc Gené pulls in and hits her! Marc Gené's just hit the leader!
He just turned in and we went boom, we hit big. And I was like, no. But you gotta fight with it. This is the situation you're in, and I'm the only one who can deal with it.
He's forced him off the road! He's forced him off the road! That is quite remarkable! What is he thinking of? This is absolutely disgraceful! This is disgraceful! What are Peugeot thinking of? This is disgraceful! When a car is many laps down and not even battling to stay on the lead lap, I think they went across the line. Literally as well as metaphorically.
I took contact with the Peugeot people and asked them, please, let the cars that go for victory, one car from yours and the one from ours, give the chance to fight it out between themselves. And then they sent me back an SMS, don't worry, the other cars will not interfere. And then I could tell Andre, attack and go for it.
And the Audi has got through, but that was dangerous in the extreme. That was nonsense.
If I were in the Audi pit at the moment, I would feel like I was walking on a tightrope, because you only have to look down that list and, you know, there's a minute, and then there's 9, 8, 7 Peugeots just queued up.
The number 2 Audi has done heroic work. But how long can its drivers bear the weight of leading the 24 hours of Le Mans?
People think, wow, all the pressure on these guys. But for us in the car, in the seat, and within our little group of people, we were focused on racing, performing, and it didn't matter if they were there or not. And pressure is there anyways in racing, and you learn to deal with that.
If you feel pressure, and pressure is heavy, you start to do mistakes. And I never felt pressure. It felt for me like more like motivation to do it.
At that point in time, it was started to become a little bit more realistic, and the chance of a win was creeping up. But what was really creeping through my mind was how small our gap was, and at one stage it was getting smaller, and it was quite a worry.
She was shitting her pants about 2.5 hours before the end of the race. I know Lena very well, and I could tell that she was feeling the strains of leading Le Mans race.
All race, Peugeot's strategy has been simple. More laps per fuel tank means less pit stops. And saving several minutes in pit lane would eventually equal victory. With just over an hour left in the race, that tactic is about to be tested.
Andre, box this lap, box this lap.
Holding a 1-minute lead, Audi is about to do its penultimate pit stop. The number 9 Peugeot, having just pitted about 15 minutes ago, should only have to come in once more for enough fuel to finish the race. This is the moment when both teams' race strategies will come to a head. If Audi can get in and out of the box before Peugeot passes them, their strategy will have proven best, and they'll be one step closer to winning. Lotterer emerges from pit lane with his lead intact.
I'm amazed that the Audis can make extra pit stops and hold a 16-second advantage.
Over the course of the race, Audi has pitted 3 more times than Peugeot. Yet a 10th victory at Le Mans is now within reach. Just don't tell Dr. Ulrich that.
I have learned in Le Mans that the race is never over before really the finish is there. I always pushed myself, not thinking about it's done, because it's done if the checkered flag is down.
Lena, it's tire alarm. Copy that. I'll let him know.
Almost immediately we noticed the tyre pressures and we kept an eye on it, but we were developing a slow puncture. We were monitoring it. We hadn't said anything to him, but he actually came over the radio and said, "Is everything okay?"
My left rear was dropping. I went on the radio. I have a slow puncture on the left.
And I confirmed to him, "You've got a slow puncture, but we've got to stay out. If we don't and we have to do an extra pit stop, we will have lost this." So,
Andre, when you get on the straight, we want to analyse the data to see if we need to make a change.
The data confirms Lena's fears. The race leader must box to address the puncture. But with little more than 45 minutes to go, Audi cannot bring Lotterer in right away. Pit now and risk running out of fuel before the end of the race. A potentially disastrous repeat of what happened at Spa earlier in the year.
Paul, this is getting interesting because all of a sudden Simon Pagenaud is only seconds behind Lotterer, and this is not as cut and dried as we may have once thought.
Lotterer guides the number 2 Audi through nearly 5 laps on a slowly deflating tyre. And it's finally time to pit. With no margin for error, Lena is faced with one last race-deciding choice.
on the pit wall, I had Howden next to me, and the conversation that we had was whether we changed one tyre or all 4.
It's not an easy call. Victory hangs in the balance. In the end, Mr. Le Mans himself is asked to weigh in.
And I was called down to hear what I would like to have done in this situation. And yeah, for me, I said all 4 for sure. You need your weapons sharp.
This was a very important moment. And then at the end, we decided it's the better way to change all 4 tires.
That's when the call was made. We change all 4, give Andre the best chance.
Andre, box this lap.
Okay. It's all teamwork, and in the end, the right decision was taken.
Lotterer by 24 seconds, and 1 splash for the Audi driver. Well, and Pagenaud to come in as well.
38 minutes remain. The number 2 Audi and the number 9 Peugeot will both pit. The Audi will get new rubber on all 4 wheels. The Peugeot will take on only fuel. It's a calculated risk. Old rubber will compromise the Peugeot's handling, but the faster stop may allow them to take over the race lead.
Here comes the leader of the race for its final stop.
Should be a short fill so they can get to the end. It is the final scheduled stop for this car. They are doing a tyre stop. They're cutting down an extra risk. They're changing tyres, so they're going to have a fresh set of boots.
They haven't got time to do that because Pagenaud's come in at the same time. And Pagenaud is about to roll out.
And so he's fired up, he's rolling, it's going to be a battle on the grid, and he's got away ahead. The distance is about 6-7 seconds. That was a very, very clever risk, that one.
So 35 minutes left to go, Johnny, and they left the pits 7.8 seconds between them. There's a steely determination in the eyes of Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich.
With his weapons now razor sharp, Lotterer attacks the circuit. Setting a blistering pace, Pagenaud struggles to match. Strategy means nothing now. The balance of this race will be decided by pure speed.
Andre Lotterer, 347 laps completed, 12.3 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, led by Simon Pagenaud. This is honest to goodness drama, excitement all the way to the end, with Andre Lotterer still only leading by 13 seconds.
I know, and anything can happen.
I'm really nervous.
It's horrible. I don't want to be here, to be honest.
With under 10 minutes remaining in the race, one mistake, no matter how minute, could end any chance for victory. The pressure is stifling. Lotterer handles it by calmly extending his lead.
The gap has gone out to 17.7 seconds.
It hasn't gone up through one big jump. It's just been tickle, tickle, tickle. Every lap, a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker.
Who's writing the script for this? Will you tell them to turn the drama level down to maybe 11 or 12 out of 10?
Andre, stay cool. It's one more lap. One more lap.
And we still hold our breath on the final lap, which will be a full speed final lap. There's about 7.5 miles still to run.
The 2011 24 Hours of Le Mans has come down to the final 3.5 minutes. One flawless lap is all that separates Audi from victory. In years past, the Audi crew would line up along the pit wall, celebrating the win. But not this year. This race is far too close for ceremony, and the entire team stays in the garage. "24 hours are in the books. Red Sonja rules the Circuit de la Sarthe."
There's 4 Peugeots behind, but there's 4 rings on the top of the podium at Le Mans 2011.
The number 2 Audi takes the checkered flag by just over 13 seconds. It's Audi's 10th win in a dozen years.
You go through the line and then boom, suddenly all your emotions come. You're like, wow, we made it, fantastic. When you watch the images after, you just have to cry a little bit because it's just so much, so intense.
For me, it was a mental roller coaster with the perfect finish.
This was the nicest moment in my career, almost in my life, I would say.
Yeah, this is getting goosebumps now. It's an amazing feeling to win Le Mans. You know, you enter in the history of the best drivers.
I was really, really happy, and then I cried. So I was, yeah, like a baby.
It's a whole year's worth of work that culminates in 24 hours of racing. It was a really big moment, I think.
Big is an understatement. The 2011 Le Mans is historic. Lena Gade is the first woman ever to win the race as lead engineer.
When she found herself alone with her car and the drivers fighting the 3 Peugeots, I think the pressure on her was immense, but still at the end, it was her that had to manage it to work it out perfect. I'm very proud on her.
H had said over the radio that he was really proud of me and I'd done a really good job. Everything I've learned from him, but also knowing that I guess I hadn't let him down because he'd taken a real gamble pushing me forward to be a race engineer. So it was a little bit emotional.
It's just incredible, you know. It's difficult to realize, but it was a very hard race with a very strong competitor, and it makes the race even better and the win even better.
In only their second year together as an Audi team, Ben Trellier, Andre Lotterer, and Marcel Fassler have made their mark. They are now and forever champions. 13.854 seconds. Not a lot of time, but time enough to stand atop the racing world, to savor a hard-fought victory, and to never forget that at Le Mans, every second counts.